Yo, listen up, here's the deal. Let me introduce a real big deal. His name's Hermdo, got a YouTube show with
Hey guys, what's going on? Hermdo back with you on a beautiful, rainy Sunday afternoon. But hope you're all having a good weekend. Back to the grind tomorrow. Actually, wait, no, it's Monday. Shit. Right, it's Memorial Day, so support the troops and all that good shit. Anyways, I found this Twitter thread I thought was interesting. We all know, like, the red pill sphere and the guys who basically, talk about how awful women are and give guys all these tricks on how to, like, seduce them or how to suss out when they're lying to them and all this shit. It's kind of lame, But, like, you go through, like, look at all these YouTube videos here. I mean, there's a ton of stuff like Pearl
You have these
Davis,
guys,
just
these
a real
pretend
dummy.
to simp for what I call red pill hoes. Just Pearly Things, Real Femme Skanky, and her little friend. These are some big YouTubers sometimes. Pearly has like 1 million fans now. Almost all dudes that simp for her. They think that they're red pill because she panders to them and tells them what they want to hear. This to me is pathetic. It's delusional. You didn't wake up from shit. Now instead of simping on OnlyFans, you're just simping on YouTube.
I like this hat though, 100% toxic masculinity. I like that.
It's pathetic.
All right, great analysis there. But like the red pill sphere kind of goes on, and we've all seen parts of like these podcasts where they go over these like stupid street interviews, like exposing cheaters and stuff. But I found this Twitter thread. I thought it was very interesting. I'd like to share it with you guys. But it says here, this is from Forrest. He says, social media is promoting content that depicts all men and women as unfaithful. The more you absorb this content, the more you start to notice it in reality, which biases you, oh, excuse me, which biases you toward the notion that true love is impossible. This creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. Here's a thread. Yeah, we see various 40 years of marriage down the drain. Oh, she checked her phone. This shit's such scripted bullshit. Oh, this whatever podcast, that's another one. This stuff is just absolute garbage. But it goes on here. The hyperstition is a fiction or an idea that makes itself real. The hyperreal, ruthless dating market is being depicted over social media as cultivating a hyperstition. The more we consume this content, the more we internalize the false reality and base our actions around it. Immature women being promoted. People focus on that more than in real life. Polarizing tape becomes real life. And it just goes on the cycle over and over again. But hyperstition is a term used to describe self-fulfilling prophecies that come true through their existence and spread is associated with science fiction, speculative fiction, futurism, occultism, and conspiracy theories. We all love that stuff. Let's go on. It's kind of a long thread, just got to stick with me here, but there's a lot of interesting points Forrest makes here. Think about it. Every time you see couples failing loyalty tests or clips of women talking about their body counts, how does that make you feel? You start to think everybody is untrustworthy. The content biases you towards your own subjective negative experiences. How many of these thumbnails have we seen? Just shit just like this. Just people on their phones, emojis, all this stupid shit, all this clickbait bullshit to get you drawn in. But yeah, there's tons of this content out there. There's always these dudes called like the Red Pill Slayer going on talking about how women are unfaithful or other anti-women slurs. I don't know if I can repeat because I don't want to get a strike or anything. But yeah, 100 bodies, good content here. But most of us have been heartbroken or cheated on as part of life and always has been pre-internet. These experiences would be dealt with privately. We learn from them and move on. In the age of the internet, however, these private experiences are reflected back to us online. 40% of Americans have been cheated on, and 1 in 4 still stuck around. I hate just reading like the headline of an article, but he gets into it a little bit more. Love is definitely not in the air. A recent survey has uncovered some eye-opening statistics about infidelity and relationship snooping in the United States. Researchers spoke to 5,000 participants and found nearly half said they have had a partner who was unfaithful. So this is back from November. Relationship Research News. Now, algorithms can sense when you've been hurt. Utilizing sentiment analysis, they can track your mood. Because of this, we end up being shown content that vindicates our worst suspicion about the opposite sex. Subconsciously, our perception of the other is forever altered. Social media platforms do not have the ability to read our minds in a literal sense. However, they do collect vast amounts of data on their users through various means, such as tracking online behavior, interactions, likes, shares, and even external data sources. Based on the data they collect, social media platforms use algorithms and machine learning techniques to analyze user behavior and preference. Oh yeah, it's just like, we talk about like data being harvested, but they're harvesting all this other stuff. It's like content preference harvesting. It's just like they know what you like, they know what gets clicks. It's all being fed to you. There's so much bullshit out there. You try to pull back the veil a little bit and kind of expose some of this, and just realize how much of it's just there just to sell you something. So many of these red pill guys are just absolute grifters. It's a real shitty situation, and a lot of these social media sites just enable it. It's a real shame. This allows them to make predictions about what their users might be interested in and tailor content, advertisements, and recommendations accordingly. While this can sometimes give the impression that social media platforms are reading our minds, it's actually a result of sophisticated data analysis and algorithms rather than any kind of mind reading capability. It is eerie. I mean, speaking on some things, like I was thinking about buying a lawnmower like a couple weeks ago, and then I'm seeing like ads for like lawnmowers at like the Home Depot popping up on my phone and stuff. It's weird, it's eerie, but at some point, people have described that phenomenon before, but at some point I must have been browsing them online or typed it into a search bar. It's all set up. It's just one big fucking commercial. I swear to God, the internet just ads these days. But yeah, it comes with other kind of stuff too. It applies with, like, you start talking about like red pill stuff, like on YouTube, like the algorithm will start suggesting like red pill videos, or you'll start seeing tweets. Like if you go on Twitter, you start seeing stuff from like Pearl Davis or the Fresh and Fit guys or Andrew Tate or whatever. I mean, even if you're not even interested in that stuff, even if you just like search it out once on Google, I mean, it'll be presented to you in some way. But yeah, it's just a big system designed to keep you clicking. The goal of these platforms is to keep users engaged and to show them content that is likely to be relevant and interesting to them based on their past behaviors and preferences. So, yeah, kind of repeating myself here, but you get it. Drinking a delicious Voodoo Ranger, by the way. Tasty. Eventually, after enough consumption of this content, you become the idea. You begin to embody the behavior you see online. Your focus suddenly changes from finding love to proving to yourself that love isn't real through both your thoughts and actions. Yeah, people get stone cold these days. It's not just a meme. Acknowledging that love is real is scarier than the opposite view, namely that it's an illusion. It's just a chemical reaction. You recognize that past love was real. That means accepting you weren't the victim of some cruel biological fate. After a heartbreak, our knee-jerk reaction is to give up on love. We want to tell ourselves that it was an illusion. This is cope. It's easier to play the victim than it is to accept the fact that we all put this time and energy into something that, in the end, failed. Yeah, I've had guy friends come up to me, stuck in bad relationships, and that's not exactly what this guy is talking about here, but it's just like, I remember this one guy, he was dating this girl for a couple years. He was miserable. They were fighting all the time, and he was just like, I don't, interfere with that kind of stuff. I'm not really great at giving advice, but I'm a good listener, I guess. But he was just going on and on, and he was just talking about like, well, I'm thinking about breaking up with her, but I think, all this effort I put into the relationship will be wasted. And I just told him, like, man, if you can walk out of a relationship with no alimony, no child support, no venereal disease, bro, you're doing better than most guys. So sometimes you just gotta make a clean break, But I don't know. That's the thing. I've never really been in a long-term relationship. I'm not the best guy to really speak on this kind of stuff, but I've been broken up with before. I've had bad breakups before, kind of stuff you're just laying on the couch watching like Family Guy reruns on Netflix, eating a bag of chips and just like, ooh. I know what that's like. And I've had relationships before, not super long ones, but it's just like after a certain point, it kind of gets clear that you and her just aren't on the same wavelength, and there's really not much compatibility there, and you feel like, should I try to make it work? Should I just break things off? That's a choice you got to make for yourself. I don't know. Most of the time, I wound up just breaking it off, but eh. Pre-internet individuals would find solace in family or religion during this grieving process. Now social media strikes where the emotional iron is hot. It takes your grief and tells you everybody else is going through the same thing. Love's an endless power struggle. There's some AI art for you. Obviously, there is some truth to the dating market being depicted online. Divorces going up, hookup culture is still rampant, etc. But our focus should not be on how men and women are failing to find a partner. It should be the ideology that is guiding these men and women. The divorce rate among people 50 and older has doubled in the past 20 years. Over the past 60 years, a move from more traditional forms of courting has been replaced by more casual sexual encounters, so much so that 70% of sexually active 12 to 20 sexually active 12-year-olds, 12 to 21-year-olds reported having uncommitted sex within the last year. I've had that before. I've had hookups before, one night stands, they used to call them. I don't really recommend that kind of stuff. It just kind of gives you kind of a hollow feeling. Some people can't really compartmentalize sex and emotion, and I guess I'm one of them because, you catch feels for a girl, but she just only sees you as like a temporary thing. It's ugly. I don't recommend it, but you do you, I guess. It should come as no surprise that the ideology that is killing relationships or preventing formation is individualism. Oh boy. Asking for commitment is viewed as a limit to our autonomy, which is why it's hard for both parties in a relationship to make the first move. Traditionally, ritual codes of conduct and religious values determined from the outset that the goal of a relationship was commitment. Nowadays, for both men and women, the intent to commit must be the accomplishment, not the precondition of a relationship. There's some Jesus artwork for you. Very Christian, very interesting. The very question of commitment has become a priori, disentangled from the romantic relationship. As a result, relationships are required to provide ongoing work of recognition and constantly be reassured that the person we're dating is ours. That's true. That's true. A lot of guys are insecure, myself included. It's just like you feel like you keep having to prove yourself to her in a lot of ways. And have I been like insecure and jealous? Yeah, I think all guys have been. And just, you know, you got to be secure at a certain point. Some guys never really get there. You can tell, just the way some of them, it like manifests in kind of a controlling way with women, and it's not a good look. It's not a good look. This desire for reassurance is exacerbated further by the stories we hear over social media. The harsh dating market always exists in the back of our minds. We know somebody could always download Tinder to find a plan B. 43% have backup men. A current relationship ends. 8 out of 10 are in contact with the backup man. 15% said their feelings were stronger for the backup man. 50% said their partner was aware of the backup man. 1 out of 5 admitted backup men was a friend of their partner. 1 out of 10 said the backup men had already confessed their undying love. Oh, Jesus. See, I never got into this stuff. I've never really been cheated on. I never cheated on anybody. I don't really have the patience to deal with the feelings of multiple women, so but yeah, I don't know. I never really went through this kind of stuff. I never really talked to any other girls when I was in a relationship, but apparently women do this kind of stuff. Makes me a real misogynist. No, I'm kidding, but what do we got here? My female coworker has already 39 people she's talking to on a dating app. How do you do that? How? This might be bullshit. I don't know. Everything's like a meme these days. Everything's like, presented in such a way to try to get, maximum interaction, but I don't know. I've only maybe talked to like maybe 1 or 2 girls, maybe at the most 3 girls at the same time, but not like just I'd have a couple girls like on a dating website like way back in the day. I haven't dated anybody from a dating website. I haven't done the online dating thing in quite a while. But I don't know. I don't know how people manage to do this kind of stuff. Ugh. Our perception of the opposite sex has also been distorted by pornography. Oh boy. Many of us assume by default that white women will be unfaithful because we've consumed gross content that pushes this narrative. Bakchi Booch has a great thread on this. Oh, brother. This kind of veers off into some weird territory. How much more is this? But let's finish it up. Why do you overanalyze our partner's text? Why do you focus so much on your appearance, especially on a first date? So many men and women fear rejection or require reassurance because that is at stake in a relationship is a performance of the self and hence its worth. In the past, subjective validation is bestowed by one's social standing and conduct. There is no uncertainty as to one's worth. In our hyper-individualistic society, our self-image is unstable. We require another person to provide us with that sense of value. I mean, I think there's something to be said for individualism as far as like your own like self-assessment goes and how, focusing on yourself and, your own goals and, what you can provide to, I mean, it's kind of like a balance, I kind of take a more balanced approach to that kind of stuff. I mean, I think everybody should be allowed to think collectively. I think we should think more collectively. How do my actions benefit or hurt the health of the whole, or the well-being of the collective rather. um but yeah, it's a lot of, there is something to be said. I think there is a little bit of I know right wingers bring this up. There are a lot of guys rally against individualism, and I don't know enough to necessarily agree with that, but there's something to be said. It's just like you apprise yourself above all others. But in that way, I mean, this guy was right about how it just kind of leaves you needing constant validation. So I think he's got a good point there. He's kind of veering off into some weird areas here. One of the fundamental changes in modernity has to do with the fact that social worth is performatively established on social relationships. We have to curate our physical appearance, match our tastes with our partners, have a similar psychological makeup, etc. Since our self-image is tied to the facade we put on display, requesting promises and commitment from another person is conceived as exerting pressure on them. We must maintain the emotional facade to protect ourselves and prevent anybody from being scared away. Yeah, you do wear a mask in a certain way. I've pretended. I shouldn't, maybe not pretended, but I guess that is a good way to put it. But I'd kind of lie about like my political affiliation sometimes. I know maybe it's a douchebag thing to do, and I don't recommend doing it because you can't really lie to yourself. I mean, I think every guy kind of lies to a woman in a certain way, maybe obfuscates things in a certain way to make them appeal to women more. I've done that kind of stuff. I think every guy does that kind of stuff. I not necessarily think it's a good thing to do, but it's because it's hard to keep up that facade. It's just like you pretend you're into some girl's politics, like, oh yeah, baby, I love Bernie. Oh yeah, baby, I love Trump, Biden, whatever. And it's just like you find yourself, I don't know. I mean, it depends. Like, and like a long term scale, though, I don't like this whole opposites attract kind of thing. Is like that was kind of accepted in the dating sphere for a while. A lot of guys get told that, like certain people from different backgrounds would somehow be able to be more compatible. I don't know if I necessarily believe that. I've dated women with different politics, different beliefs on religion, culture, movies, whatever, even like, cultural, even like pop cultural stuff. But it, for the most part, you can kind of, if you try, you have to be open minded about it. You have to be willing to see things. You can't be too rigid. But if your partner is rigid, I've had girls that I couldn't convince them to believe in my way of thinking, to adopt like mine. Not that I necessarily agree that's maybe really a way to do it. I'm just going off in the weeds, but you shouldn't lie to women. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say here. Both parties must therefore be casual, blasé, and passionless, so as not alienate the other person. That's why most relationships devolve into situationships or hookup. I still don't know what situationship means. Since both parties are putting on passionate performance, we must constantly look for signs that the person we like is into us. Instead of being forthright about how we feel, we have to psychoanalyze the other person's mind since we can't be genuine. Women must repeatedly ask themselves, is he dating other women? Am I just a fling for him? Is he attracted to me? Men and women are insecure because we are unable to secure our sense of worth on our own. We have to depend on others to secure it. There we go. Technique to detect cheating. Tracked phone location online. Find my iPhone or the method. Percent used by males. Percent used by females. Percent used by others. Total. Used a private investigator. Does anybody use a private investigator anymore? Remember that being on like the Maury show? Like the show would hire private investigators to see if like some guy was cheating on his woman. That's all Hollywood bullshit though. I don't think I've ever met anyone that's done this. Check their social media accounts. Yeah, there's gotta be, I've never checked a woman's like social media accounts. I've never checked a woman's phone. That, but I don't know. I always had like trust into her. I don't know. I never. I mean, maybe a girl checked my phone at some point, but I never found out. I don't know. It's kind of a violation of trust. It's kind of like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? So, but yeah, this applies to both men and women in a way. So, Overall, social media has made it harder to trust our deep-seated passions. It's made us harder to trust other people. It's made it more difficult to derive our sense of worth from anything other than the people around us. Stop using it to find love or self-worth. Love is real, but it requires you to make it a reality. To bring about existence, you need to have faith in yourself, faith in other people, most importantly of all, faith in God. Ah, it's a Christian thing. I was kind of wondering where he was going with this. Like, that thing about porn was kind of like, oh, this guy might be a little more right wing. Well, that's okay. I don't really agree, but that's okay. Only with faith can we break out of this vicious cycle of pain and heartbreak. And okay. All right. So that was that thread from Forrest. I wonder. Forrest Rebel. Interesting, interesting. But basically, how social media does kind of skew. I think his earlier points were good about how kind of social media and the people on social media kind of exist to sell you these ideas about the opposite sex and how that hampers like real pair bonding and stuff. And that's an issue. I don't know about the whole porn thing. I don't want to even get into that. But as far as faith in God thing, you know, if you believe in God, cool. I'm an atheist myself. I don't know. I kind of take a less faith-based approach. I've never really, I don't know. I've never really dated. I usually date other atheist women when I do date, but we never really had a theological discussion, so I don't know. I mean, it usually doesn't come up in my relationships. I don't know. I don't really know how to approach that kind of thing. I mean, I've had guys, like atheist guys, tell me that they've dated like girls who were like Catholics or Christians or whatever, and these girls would be like convinced they were going to hell and it was a big thing. You know, they like try to drag them to church and stuff. And I think some guys would totally be into that. There's a lot of these guys that are like trad caths or whatever, and that's I got various opinions about that, but um I don't know. I don't know. Basically, I think the overall thrust of this thread was just like, hey, use the internet less, have real life experiences more. But that was interesting. I just thought I'd share it with you. I thought there were some good insights in the thread. I didn't agree with all of it, but um, thanks for watching if you watched this far. And like, comment, and subscribe. Follow my socials. They're posted in the description. If you have any dating advice, hey, let me know in the chat. Leave a comment down below. We'll discuss it. Whatever you guys want to talk about. But I will talk to you guys later.
From the streets to the screen, he's got the glow.